Okay, so I made some diagrams of some like tree trimming, I guess, like short little tree stuff. So I don't really know how to say it the right way. I guess I'll just throw it in right now. So okay, so these are the just in short the diagrams, but I thought that I'd probably expand on these further. So basically I put good root flare. Like, really, what is good root flare? I mean, I'm still researching this, but I think I've really understood a lot of it so far. So basically, good root flare comes down. You are able to see the curve. Like, it goes down and it makes like a curve like that. It can be bigger than that, but you don't want it smaller than that. And that's on like bigger trees. I kind of made that look like a silver maple. But it's not just silver maple, that goes for all trees. Here's on a small tree. Obviously, they still have some root flare. Sometimes it's not so obvious so soon. But you should always have some signs of like a root flare. So then moving on to bad root flare, I think it's basically the opposite of what I said. I don't know what kind of tree I was drawing here. I just added a ton of ripples and stuff. Basically what that is when it goes straight into the soil and it's just like that all around it, like grass or something, mulch, who knows what. But basically that means that the root flare could be as far as foot or more down. So it's basically down here, should not be down there because then it's also thinner. And that leads to decay, just bad stuff. And on smaller trees that can start having like roots wrapping around them down here, like I'll just say that's where its root flare is. And roots and stuff choking it off. And that's all under the surface. So basically, you just can't notice it. Like, I mean, this is a small tree. I mean, a person would probably be about that big. I can draw way better people than this. I just don't feel like it right now. But all this time, they're happy knowing that their tree, at least thinking that their tree is okay. I kind of made a mistake on them. I don't know what that is. But they think that their tree is okay, but it really is not. So even when they find out, they'll be sad. Okay, that was terrible. And then I guess moving on to good trimming. Basically, these kind of like it doesn't really show too much, but basically you want like there's something called a collar on a tree. Kind of looks like a lump on a branch, and it sticks out from the trunk. Not quite like that. It's more of like that. But then the branch is attached here. And it's not quite visible exactly like that. But that's kind of like the line to follow-ish when you're trimming. Sometimes it looks like that. And then the tree's like that. By the way, you don't want to trim a limb this big off if the trunk's this big. But on smaller trees, you use clippers, you can use them. But on bigger trees like this, you're going to want to use this. And if your limb is here, let's say, you're going to make a cut here first, and then there, and then it breaks off. I might have had that might supposed to be down there. I'm not sure. I should have looked at that a bit more. But basically, if you're wanting to trim this limb off and it's a small tree, you should wait and just basically prune branches and keep this small so that when the tree grows big, it will not affect it that bad. And here's bad trimming. This is called a flush cut here. It's basically, there's no collar, it's trimmed out, it will lead to decay, and it is just terrible. Another example of bad trimming is leaving a stub. So instead of being down here where it should be, it's up here, and it leaves a big stub that leads to decay, and it can get into the tree, and it is not good. So here I showed another flush cut, but that's, I did examples on like small trees and big trees. So, and then I'm gonna move on to this, that I put a bad union. That's moves on to down there. But I'll just cover this quick. So good unions, well, I mean, they're called unions. They're in the shape, they should be in the shape of a U. Like that-ish. Although I don't think your limbs are supposed to be bigger than your trunk. But you get the point. They're more U-shaped. And they don't break as easily. They don't trap moisture because there's no bark to really trap that. On a small tree, and this goes for bigger trees too, they can look like this, like coming out from the side directly, and then they can angle up. But you don't want them, I think I put an example over there, you do not want them coming up like that, because moisture gets trapped in here, leads to decay. Moisture gets trapped in there, leads to decay. And moisture gets trapped in there. I mean, I guess decay isn't necessarily the right word, but as these grow, they push each other apart, and the forces just eventually lead to a snap, and your tree is all broken, sad, and you got bad wood, and your tree is not beautiful anymore, and it will die very soon. And I was not drawing the flares down here, so I guess you can have you can have trimming good, and you can have unions good, but you still might have bad root flare, and that will lead to your tree's death, even if everything else about it is okay. And you can have bad trimming and bad unions and still have a good root flare, but does that mean that your tree will be okay? No, it does not. Any of these can lead to your tree's death, and it is not good. Although bad unions, when there's such a big branch and you really can't do too much about it, try to get limb weight off. Like, it's got so much downward pressure on both sides. You'd want to decrease at least one side. So, yeah, just make sure that your tree's root flare isn't too shallow, even if you can see part of it slightly, and like a little bit of that. That does not mean that it's okay, because the rest of your root flare is down there, and it's under the soil and not good. So basically, I kind of gave it a bad name, but that's just short of it for now. Do a quick run through. Good root flare helps your tree, and it can make it even healthier if it doesn't have it quite yet. It can just make it even healthier and help it fight problems. Bad root flare can hurt the tree, and it can actually lead to rot and make your tree fall over. It can still grow and leaf out and look beautiful, as it always does, but it's hiding an issue under the soil that's rotting, and you can't tell it from the surface. And good trimming, it just helps the tree to recover faster, and it helps it to compartmentalize, so basically grow over the wound. And the bad trimming, it basically hurts the collar, so the top half of the collar is dead because you cut it off, leaving only the sides to grow over the wound right there. So it looks like that against your beautiful tree, and it just makes it look like an eye, like a lopsided eye. So good unions keep your tree from falling apart, and bad unions can fall apart and lead to bad stuff. So that is the conclusion of good and bad tree safety. So, bye.